Hey guys, welcome to ABN Sports Media. Thank you for all your love and support. Make sure to like this video, share it, and of course, subscribe here to ABN Sports Media. Turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of the content that will be dropping all of Fight Week for Canelo versus Triple G3. Hey guys, Adriana Noriega here with Tom Loeffler. Tom, it's great to see you again. It's been a minute, you know.
It's been a little while, yeah.
It has, and you know we've been going back. I remember since one of Gennady's very first fights here in LA. You know, rich history, going back to Mexicans for Golovkin at the StubHub Center, all at the Forum.
Yeah.
I remember great memories, and now we're here, mega fight week in Las Vegas for the trilogy that we've been waiting for 4 years. I can't imagine how excited you're feeling.
No, it's great to be back up here in Las Vegas, and like you said, we have a lot of history, and you've seen Triple G from almost the beginning of the time that he started fighting here in the States. So we're happy to be in Las Vegas. The trilogy now, where we felt the first two fights were very controversial. Many of the fans felt the same way. So, you know, hopefully now at 168 pounds, now that Canelo is defending his titles against Triple G, Triple G's older. I think there's a reason why Canelo waited a few more years than he could have. But I think at 168 you'll see a stronger Triple G, and hopefully he can have an even more dominant victory in this third fight.
I think, you know, what you mentioned about Gennady moved up to 168 and the fact that he's 40 now. I think those are the main things that people just kind of are wondering what they can expect from Gennady, and we'll touch on the age right now. But first, the 168. Gennady looks good. He looks comfortable. He joked about extra, you know, a couple tacos. You know, it looks like, you know, I don't know how difficult it was for him to be hitting 160 since his pro debut, but it must feel a little more comfortable. What do you see and what are you expecting now at 68?
It's a lot of discipline for him to stay at 160 for so many fights. He's still the unified champion at 160 pounds. So this is a huge opportunity for him at 168 to unify all the titles, to become undisputed champion. That's what we tried to do at 160. I thought if anyone could do it, Adriana, I thought Triple G could do it because he really wanted to do that. He just couldn't get that last title when Billy Joe Sanders had it captive over there in the UK. So this would give him the opportunity to become undisputed champion for the first time in his career. And I think he's going to, you know, when I see him in training camp, and if anyone could fight at this top level at 40 years old, it's definitely Triple G. The way his lifestyle, the way he's kept his body in shape, and now at 168 pounds, having flexibility to eat a few more tacos in his diet and not having to come down in weight, I think it'll be a fun night on Saturday night.
Obviously, Gennady is a top shape athlete. You know, he looks phenomenal, and I don't think that, you know, the age is really a factor. I think honestly, maybe in my opinion, it would be that it probably motivates him to prove to people that he really is that good. Is that kind of what it is? That it's age is just a number, and we're gonna see how good he really is on Saturday night.
I think so. You know, Gennady's always wanted to be at the top level of the sport. You know, from the first time I started working with him, that's all he wanted. He wanted the biggest fights, the best fights. He wanted to fight the champions. Unfortunately, when he was a champion knocking everybody out, it was hard to get other people in the ring with him. But now with these Canelo fights, these are at the highest level of the sport of boxing, and that's really what his goal was, to you know, fighter from Kazakhstan that wasn't that well known, and now he's like a global hero and superstar. You know, that's his goal, and you know, fighting the biggest fights has always been you know, priority for him.
Canelo has been vocal about saying that he wants to knock him out, but if we saw already fight 1 and 2 and he didn't do it in those 2 fights, do you really think there's a chance that he can, you know, obviously you guys are going for the win, but if we didn't see a knockout in 1 and 2, do you really expect that on the third?
You know, it's hard. You know, neither one was down in the first 2 fights, so both have great chins. Gennady, I've never seen Gennady hurt either in sparring and training and in a fight, and so I don't really put much into Canelo's prediction. But you know, look, you never can tell what's going to happen. I don't see that happening. I think if anyone could hurt someone, I think Triple G at 168 could potentially hurt Canelo. So either way, I think there'll be a lot of fireworks. I think you'll see like the first 2 fights were really high IQ, and Triple G pushed him back in the first fight. Canelo was more aggressive in the second fight. I think you'll see in this third fight, you know, Canelo's not the youngest guy anymore either. You know, he turned pro at 15, and so you saw with Bivol that he wasn't as active and wasn't as mobile which really surprised me based on the Triple G fights where he was very defensive and elusive with his upper body movement and his footwork around the ring, and you didn't see that in the Bivol fight. And so if he does the same thing with Triple G, I think you'll see Triple G being able to land some of those big punches that he did in the first couple fights.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. So how do you see both fighters' past fight? So Canelo Bivol, maybe you say he didn't move as much as he thought that he would. Golovkin, he had a long layoff, or he didn't fight a long time in between there. Maybe took a little while to warm up, and eventually was able to win by knockout. How do you think both of those prior fights affected them in those fights, and how it'll translate for Saturday night?
It's interesting. Gennadi's coming off the win against Murata in Japan, so he's on a winning streak, and Canelo has the loss with Bivol. I'm guessing that Canelo is going to use that loss to really motivate him to try to get back on the winning streak. But you never know how a fighter emotionally reacts after losing. Triple G in his mind is very confident because he feels that he won the first two fights, so he just has to do more in the ring to even impress the judges, as the same as the fans. But I think based on what I'm seeing, that you'll see more explosive punches in this third fight. Both guys maybe being a little bit more committed to trying to knock the other guy out or land the bigger punches, and that always provides a lot more entertainment than the boxing matches.
When I talked to Eddie Hearn a couple days ago, he told me that when he saw Canelo a few days after the loss of Bivol, that he was really down, depressed, like he just looked miserable. Now, I'll ask you, going back 4 years when Golovkin lost to Canelo, I would expect for you to tell me that he wasn't like that. He was probably angry, because if he believes that he won both fights, he was probably disappointed in saying, I won the fight and I didn't get it. So what was it like, if you remember, 4 years ago when he lost to Canelo?
No, that's a perfect example, is that he wasn't depressed because he felt in his heart that he won those fights. He was angry. He was angry at the first fight was a draw. He kept his titles, but the second fight really, I could see that upset him, because if you feel you won the fight but you lose your titles that way, in the controversial way, and if you remember, it was only by 1 point on one judge's card, otherwise it would have been a draw, and if he would have kept his titles again, he could have lived with that. Even though he wouldn't have agreed with it, he could have lived with it. But losing the titles that way in a controversial manner, that made him upset, and that, I think, puts the fire in him. I know Canelo's going to have the fire after the loss, but Triple G is going to have the fire to make sure people forget about the first two fights and focus on this third fight.
So what is the tone like with Team Triple G? If he's angry that he didn't get that win on the second fight. It's taken a while Canelo for a while did not want to give the trilogy, for 4 years. That's why we're here 4 years later. Yeah. So having that, and then of course, I think they generally just don't like each other. So what is the tone like leading up just a few days away in Team Triple G?
He's relaxed. I mean, that's the best way to describe it. He's ready. He's relaxed. He's never under the biggest spotlights. It always seemed like Gennady, like his first fight on HBO was a spectacular knockout. Then his first fight in some of the big arenas, Madison Square Garden, and then every time there's a bigger level for him, he always reacts in a great way, and that's what I think you'll see now on Saturday night. This is as big as it gets in the sport of boxing, and you'll see Triple G definitely doing everything he can to win the fight. I heard Canelo wants to actually hurt Triple G and retire him, and he doesn't have that animosity towards Canelo, and I'm surprised that Canelo, you would think, because he got the favorable decisions, you'd be like, oh, he's happy to see Triple G, because he got he actually won the titles off of Triple G, but Gennady's not angry at Canelo. He's probably more angry at the judges, and just wants to go out there and it's more about the sport for Gennady and the business side, not trying to disrespect Canelo or trying to hurt him, but just trying to win the fight.
Any concern, fighting in Las Vegas? Obviously, the past two fights didn't go exactly Gennady's way. Any concern of being back here?
There's always concern being here in Las Vegas in terms of based on the judging of the first two fights, and even if you go back to the judging of the Bivol fight, most people thought Bivol won at least 2 of the first 4 rounds, and all 3 judges gave the first 4 rounds to Canelo. So it seems like Canelo has that built-in factor of just getting a couple of rounds. When HBO scored the first fight 8-4, and the judges had it 6-6, or one judge scored for Gennady, one judge had a draw, and I think the other judge scored it for the other judge had actually 10 rounds for Canelo, which was bizarre. I don't know how. It just seems like for whatever reason the scoring with Triple G Canelo fights, just there's always some type of twist to it. So hopefully there's no controversy on Saturday night, and may the best man win, and hopefully Triple G can win by stoppage. So it's not in the judges' hands.
Well, we're definitely excited to see what happens on Saturday night. Before I do let you go, in the pay-per-view card, we're also going to see Ali Akhmedov. Tell me about that fight. He has a battle coming up against Gabriel Rosado.
That could be the fight of the night. I mean, naturally, Triple G and Canelo is at that high level of name recognition. But when you look at the young guy coming up with Ali Akhmedov, and an experienced veteran, I don't want to say old with Gabe, but an experienced veteran who's been in a lot of fights, actually fought Triple G once in 2013. In fact, I got to give Gabe a lot of credit when that was Triple G's second fight on HBO, and after the devastation he had against Proxa in the first fight, nobody wanted to fight him. And at that time, when he was first coming up, budget wasn't that big, but Gabe took the shot. It was a big fight for Gabe. It was a shot at the middleweight titles. And you got to give him a lot of credit. So it's a big test for Ali to fight someone like Rosado, and I think that really could be the fight of the night. Could be a lot of fireworks in that fight.
Absolutely. What do you see in Ali? Obviously, he's from Kazakhstan too. So do you see any similarities? Anything that reminds you of Triple G?
Gennady has pretty much taken Ali under his wing. He's with Triple G Promotions. And there's a huge opportunity that Gennady has created for Ali to be on this show. He's from Kazakhstan, like I said, had a great amateur career, and has spent so much time in the training camp. He's trained by Jonathan Banks, who we see there in the background. Trained by Jonathan Banks, has been, like I said, pretty much mentored by Triple G as what it takes to win on this high of a level. And I think you'll see some great things for Ali. Just continuing in the footsteps of what Triple G is doing.
Looking forward to it. Tom, thank you so much for your time. Best of luck. Thank you.
Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Please make sure to subscribe here to AVN Sports Media. Show me some love. Like this video, comment, and share with all your friends and family.